was worried how that picture would appear up there when they said we needed a bigger picture for the whole room. So not too bad, I don't think. Landing in the airport last night, I thought it quite appropriate being the home of Ericsson and where communication, M2M technology started here in Sweden. So thank you for inviting me over here. And hopefully no one's too freaked out about the prospect of a coffee machine talking. So I don't quite mean literally. From an IT technology point of view, it might be M2M, machine-to-machine, 5G, big data, unstructured data. Today we heard about fast data. I'm a mere supply chain professional, so I don't really understand all this stuff that was being spoken about earlier. So I've really simplified it down, mainly for my benefit. So apologies if this isn't quite at the right level that we had this morning. So I'm going to take you through a journey that we've been through with Costa Express over the last 2-3 years since I joined the business, and then also looking forward a little bit. So hearing from IKEA and Findus today, I think we have gone through that change journey already, and we're now looking at what we can do next. So hopefully in the next 25-30 minutes or so, I can keep you interested enough after a lovely lunch. A little bit about me. As has already been said, I started off in the logistics industry, having graduated from Kiel, working with some major blue chip companies, including Weight Watchers across Europe, who have operations in Sweden, Denmark, and Finland. So this is my second time to Sweden, but both times on business, unfortunately. Working in the healthcare industry, I can understand the challenges of working with pharmacists. They don't like being told what to do. And after 7 years studying, I can understand why, to be honest. And then my greatest passion in the top left is sport. Arsenal, Wasps Rugby Club, and Warwickshire Bears, cricket. I'm not sure Sweden's a big cricket playing country. And then the picture of the Eiffel Tower, and just really important before I jump into about Costa. Costa Express and Costa, we do an awful lot of work in our communities. So back in May, I was part of a team of 30 people that rode from London to Paris, raising £300,000 for a local charity from where I was born in Staffordshire. So I think it's always really important for these opportunities when you're from a big corporate business. It's important to sometimes just highlight the other stuff that we do. This is the history of Costa and Costa Express. So we were started in 1971. What do Brits know about coffee? Not very much. Hence we went and bought an Italian coffee company. Whitbread acquired the business in about 1990, something like that. And we have quickly turned it into the world's second biggest coffee company behind Starbucks, and quickly overtook Starbucks in the UK to become the biggest operator in the UK. 1999 was a major milestone, our first international store in Dubai with our franchise partner. And today is about 2011 and onwards when Costa bought a private equity-backed company called Coffee Nation, which had a really simple desire to bring barista quality coffee to an on-the-go audience with fresh milk and freshly ground beans. So today is all about how do we bring a return on a very significant investment that Whitbread made, who own Costa, into Coffee Nation. So I joined the organization back in 2012. It's fair to say we had limited control, we had increased costs in our supply chain. One of the key drivers in our business is our cost per cup. We have quite a unique business model where we push stock out to our sites. We give the machine for free, we give the ingredients for free. Also the retailer has to provide a forecourt operator, a convenience store operator, a space, power, water and milk, and collect the cash and keep the machine clean. So if any of you are from petrol stations or retailers, you can have my business card as we look to grow in the Nordic region as well. Feel free to give me a call. So our machines can talk to us every 15 minutes via telemetry, 3G, wireless LAN. They have about 90 different alarms that can come to us. We have 4,500 machines currently operating at scale in about 3 countries and about 7 trial markets going on. So every 24 hours, there's a possibility for us to receive over 40 million bits of information. Now, these spreadsheets didn't even have any macros in them, so coping with 40 million bits of information didn't really work. We also had an incumbent logistics provider who we'd been with for 12 years. They were pretty good, they did a job, but they weren't able to grow and flex with us at the rate we were growing. And we never got to talk directly to our suppliers, so we were far too removed from our suppliers and our business. So we had to do with all of this whilst the business had doubled in size. So when Coffee Nation was purchased, they had really excellent proprietary technology. We added Costa as a brand to that, and the business just took off, absolutely exploded. So we had to do a massive supply chain transformation, revolution, not evolution. I quite like the Swedish, especially the Findus approach to stuff. Let's just do it. That's pretty much what we did. And then just as we worked through the presentation, to try and give some structure, I just highlighted at the bottom, you'll see those numbers change as we move through, to try and give, as I say, some structure as we move through. So in April, I joined the organization. We had no supply chain team. I was it. So I needed to get some help. We applied the plaster to the current demand planning solution and replenishment planning, although that was done by our spreadsheets. We then sourced, reviewed a new IT demand planning system. Apologies to SO99 and Tools Group, demand and replenishment planning system. We tendered and appointed a new logistics provider and chose Tools Group and a company called Howard Tennants, both medium-sized organizations in the UK, but had the flexibility and the pace to be able to work with us. We appointed them both in November 2012. So for 3 months, I didn't think it was worth putting up a project plan, because we then went live, big bang, 2,000 sites, 12, 15 suppliers across the entire of the UK with a new logistics provider 3 months later. Plus, we had some of the worst snow that the UK has ever seen, just as we went live, which I'm sure would have been a little more than a snow flurry over here. And we also slightly restructured the field teams to give them more focus on the customer and the partner. So we, a bit like Apotheke, we took the responsibility of stock away from field teams and people on the ground and took it centrally. So we revolutionized the supply chain, which enabled us and gave us a secure footing in which we could then look at the rest of the business as well. We introduced a new model of machine. So we had a new type of concession that came into our business. We also launched into two new countries, which were Ireland and Poland, as well as some trials in Dubai. And we implemented a new IT system and a new logistics provider, all at the same time. So what does SO99 do? I appreciate many of you here are here with Optilon and understand what the Tools Group solution does. So I think the big thing that we wanted it to do was use the actual sales data that we got coming through. So as I say, our machines talk to us every day and tell us what they've sold. We weren't using that to decide how much to send out. What SO99 was also able to do is I like to think of us as retailing manufacturers. So our machine tells us that we've sold a cappuccino. However, we don't send a cappuccino back to that site or that machine. What we have to send is cups, coffee, sugar, stirrers, and we never know exactly how much has been used. So at a university, for example, students, typically quite poor, certainly in the UK, they're also just liars and thieves, will come up to our machines, take as many cups as they want to use in their picnics, but our machine doesn't know about that. So we have to carry on working and having stock counts done at the site. And as we said before, we're aiming to use the intuition of planners. But I think we've slowly realized as we move through today, actually, the machines are just far better than planners. So this is the network solution, or part of it. We have about 15 suppliers coming into one warehouse, which then supplies about 4,500 machines when we started off with this. We now have a further 5 warehouses around the world, or predominantly in Europe and Asia, not Asia, the Middle East, where we have different echelons, multi-tiered supply and multi-management of products going through our network. We currently have a trial operation in Denmark with Shell. Our nearest machine, actually, anyone from Denmark? Oh, that's a shame. So anyone that, when they next drive to Denmark from Sweden, the first petrol station that you come to will have a Costa Express machine in there. So please do stop. So here's just an example. I think, I can't remember which presentation it was, but the graphs looked very familiar to what we use in Costa Express. This is showing how many drinks are sold each day, aggregated up into total drinks. Are we going to sell 10 drinks today or 70 cappuccinos? So whether you sell 10 or 70 drinks doesn't really transform your entire business. They're £2-3 a drink. But having demand variability of virtually, I'm not a mathematician, 6 times, 7 times more than from one day to the next is actually quite difficult to manage, and you need a system to do that. That then tells us how much coffee we need to send to a site. So this is just showing us where our safety levels are, what we need to go, our min and maxes, and what we need to avoid going over. When we first started this, we had every service level set at 99.9%. Now, what that did on the first day is we flooded our stocks with sites, our sites with stock. So we very quickly adjusted some of our service levels. You don't need 99.9% service level for a stirrer or a napkin. Coffee you do, and syrups and cups you do, but maybe not for napkins. Here are some of the benefits. So our overall net promoter score went up by 10%. We reduced the amount of stock being held at sites. We had a reduction of couriers by over half, refusals. So this is where, because we push stock out, some of our partners think they're cleverer than our system, or more clever than our system, so they just say, no, we don't want it. So what SO99 allowed us to do was tailor that and make it much more refined and much more accurate. We moved to a new 3PL, which was also, a lot of their vehicles are run on biogas. So a van is about, run on biogas, is about 99% more, emits 99% less CO2 than a diesel van. It's so good, in fact, it's almost positive for the environment. And we've done all of this whilst increasing our machines from 900 when Whitbread acquired or Costa acquired Coffee Nation. And I can't keep up, so I had to submit this presentation a few weeks ago. We're now at over 4,500 machines. And Whitbread, over the last 5 years, has been one of the fastest growing businesses on the FTSE 100. We're one of the oldest businesses on the FTSE 100. And part of that, Costa Express, is one of the fastest growing parts of Whitbread, so a huge success story. And just to pick, for those of you that understand pictures better than words, this is our machine growth over the last 2 years. We have more than doubled our business. So we've allowed our supply chain, we've got it set up, and we're now in a position where the supply chain can support our business growth. As I said, we've now got 2 models, we're in 3 trial countries, new IT provider and new logistics provider. So you'll notice there's 2 bits on the left about our legacy IT systems and our old operations structure. So it's really important that in order to develop and to grow our business still, we went and tackled those as well. We've talked a lot today about why we're doing this is to reduce costs or to reduce working capital. We're not doing any of this for that reason. We're by far and away the number 1 in our category in the UK. No one is even close to us. What we're acutely aware of is that people are seeing our success and want to catch up with us. We have the big green monster, Starbucks, who, if they decided to have a go at this, could catch us up tomorrow. They're obviously a massive organization. And in Europe, actually, our challenge doesn't really come from Starbucks. It will come from people like Dow Egberts, who are big coffee brands over here, who will be chasing us as well. So we have a big motto in our organization that says, think like number 2, because as soon as you start thinking like number 1, you will fail. And Tesco are in that position at the moment in the UK. So we're doing this all to make sure we stay ahead of the game. This isn't to generate more money, more profit, or anything like that. This is just to stay ahead of the game. And we introduced a new machine to do that. Our machine, our older machine, it's a big red box if anyone's seen it, is arguably the best looking already out there with what everyone produces. The biggest form of flattery is imitation. Everyone just copies what we used to have. Whilst everyone was busy working away and copying what we had, we were busy working away and designing this. Working with Pininfarina, who designed Ferraris, Emix Pro, who do, they're the sound producers for U2. Atom Hawk work with Warner Brothers on the Harry Potter movies. Thermoplan, one of the world's best and most renowned bean-to-cup coffee machines. Intel, some amazing technology that we've all heard of. And Givaudan, pretty much any person that put on a fragrance this morning, Givaudan would have made that fragrance. So we're trying to revolutionize the industry, even though no one's there to push us to do that. And also this machine will help us break into international markets. So it has a much more modular approach. It's been designed to act or behave like an aeroplane. If an aeroplane isn't in the sky, it's not earning any money. If our machine isn't on, it's not earning any money. So it has a modular replacement system where we can go in and pull it out. And as we work internationally, it's an opportunity for us to become more efficient as we grow our business. Excuse me. So supply chain is just hit puberty at 31. So supply chain is now ready. It can support our business growth. God, I really have. So we launched an internal project that said, how do we make this go even quicker? And I'm just sat there thinking, we've just doubled the size of our business and we need to go even quicker. Okay. So we recognized that our legacy IT systems weren't the right systems to drive our business, and our old operational structure wasn't the right structure for our business. I hate to use the word internal realignment because it suggests we just took people out of the business, but we didn't lose anybody whilst we went through this change. And this was a project to redefine our operational structure to go from being reactive to proactive. So our calls used to be about 50-50 reactive and proactive. It's much cheaper and much better for everyone if you know when you need to go to a machine. So we're now at about 80-20, where 80% of our visits to machines are planned. We also redefined our international strategy. So how are we going to grow this business? There's still plenty of room to grow in the UK, but we recognize that we aren't going to double the size of our business again if we just focus on the UK. So this is taken directly out of the Whitbread end-of-year results pack that was presented in May. By 2020, so just 4 years' time pretty much, we need to double the size of our business and be operating in a number of different countries and in a number of different channels. To do that, we will have exceptional operational support. So over here, real-time demand planning and supply chain, we've done that. We have our proprietary equipment with the new Marlowe machine. We have our perfectly prepared Mocha Italia coffee. So what we're now doing is our world-class helpline and support operationally has been structured and put in place. So now what's really exciting about being proactive is what we're doing with an internal project that's focused on our IT systems. And arguably the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you could say isn't really supply chain. But I kind of take the approach that if it's all about delivering a product and making sure that our machines are working, then it's supply chain anyway. So revolution our back office systems. So we've launched a project internally called Project Grid, and it's about connecting all of our machines together. So when you open your iPhone, it pretty much connects and just somehow knows everything about you, just because you can log in, one login does everything. That's what we're trying to get to, or will get to with our machines when we open them up for the first time. We'll have live operational data, and when I say live, I mean live. We're getting information transmitted every second. We'll be able to monitor our machines better, so we'll know what they're doing. So we know if the extraction time is down, so that's how long it takes to grind the coffee, which is the main component of a really good espresso. We'll do automated operator alerts, so we'll be able to tell our partners via SMS, email, that their machine is low on milk. We'll have dynamic machine location, so we'll know where all of our machines are, that Dell control tower, that's what we're working towards. And we'll have resilient machine connectivity, so they'll be able to communicate 99.9% of the time. We need this one to work, otherwise it'll be a real shame. This is about one element that we're looking at. So this is about leveraging the Internet of Things, the really intelligent people tell me. So we'll introduce a way in which our machines can talk to us in a structured level where we can improve the performance and the reliability of them. So to start with, the machine knows if there isn't enough milk in it. So the first thing it will do is put an alarm on the machine and say, I am low in milk. So when I talk about a talking machine, this is what the machine knows what's happening to it. If that doesn't get fixed within 15 minutes, we will send a message to a device provided by us to the retailer. So the guy behind the fork or the counter in a Shell petrol station or in a Tesco supermarket, unfortunately, even though it is for us, our machine is not the center of their universe. So we just have to remind them every now and again that the machine is there, and the machine will say, hey, I'm low on milk. If they don't fix it, we will then send a message to their boss. We've launched some trials in the UK, and what we find, surprisingly, about 90% of the time, that then gets fixed once the boss gets involved. If they don't fix it, we then send a message to our local service agent in country. So we work with partners in Denmark on some trial that we've got going on at the moment, and we will send it to them, and they will ring the site and say, go and put some milk in there. Now, if they don't fix it, everyone gets really mad, because my job now is to manage our service agents in countries. So if they're not doing it, what am I paying them to do? Our sales team get really mad because the Shell boss hasn't fixed it. And we're in this as a true partnership. So as I said before, we give the machine and the ingredients for free. All that site has to do is keep it clean and topped up with milk and ingredients. You'd think it'd be pretty simple. So we then have a control tower, I've learned that word from earlier, in the UK, where we will be able to see the performance of every single site that we have. And then once the alert goes through to there, pretty much all hell breaks loose. And then, so we have two different types of downtime in our business. We have operational downtime, which is driven by the partner, which is about 2% of the time. So an uptime trading of 98% is pretty good, but we're always looking how we can get that higher. So that's things like it hasn't been cleaned, the milk is out, there's no coffee in there, all of which the machine can tell us. We also recognize that sometimes the machine just breaks down, which is our job to fix and our job to maintain. And that's at about 0.5, 0.7% of the time. So we're better than our partners, which we like to maintain. So with alerts where the machine is telling us that it's broken, so the machine can tell us that the extraction time is out or the temperature of the drinks isn't right, we can then use that information to proactively send to our service partners and say, next time you're there, please visit the site because that machine is likely to break down. My videos would have made this an awful lot longer. So just to recap, I think our business revolution, trying to use data intelligently, we re-engineered our supply chain. I'm really proud that the team won a European Supply Chain Excellence Award alongside Tools Group in 2013 for this. 2014 was about consolidation and getting our business ready for yet more growth. And 2015 and beyond is we're very much at the start of this journey with Project Grid. It's about getting our business set to double in size within the next 4 or 5 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chris, and I apologize for the technical, but you entertained us very well anyway and moved. When it comes to comparing the customers that you had in your former life when you were working with critically ill patients. You said that when we were talking before that it was a bit similar to the pharmacy customers. They're ill, they want help now. In what way is this a different demand profile?
So I think whilst our marketeers will always tell us that people have a loyalty to Costa, two of the biggest reasons for stopping and getting a Costa Express are either I'm tired and need a break, or I'm cold and need warming up. So they will just stop somewhere rather than going and hunting out Costa. So what we find is that normally our machines are inside venues where there's other coffee offerings, whether it's drip coffee, vended pour coffee in plastic cups, or even full stores. So in some of our motorway service stations in the UK, we have a Costa Express machine virtually next to a Starbucks store. So if that Costa Express machine isn't working, they just go to Starbucks. So we have quite a transient customer base. As I say, our marketeers would always tell us that we don't, and that everyone's very loyal. But if you go in there and you want a coffee and our machine isn't on, they just go somewhere else.
So what have you learned from Starbucks?
Nothing.
What they learned from you?
Nothing yet. I think, to be fair, they're the world's biggest coffee company. I think there's an awful lot that we could learn from Starbucks, apart from how to roast coffee. And actually, in their stores, Starbucks use technology really well, especially in America. I think being able to pay for a drink before you even get there, being able to put cash onto your loyalty card and pay for drinks that way. So actually, I think our Costa stores could probably learn some stuff about technology. I think Costa Express, I'm hoping we're at the cutting edge of some of that.
And when it comes to ensuring quality then, for instance, milk or the coffee beans as such, is that a challenge in itself?
Yes. So ensuring that our partners are engaged with us. One of the things when we did our reorganization 5-6 months ago, one of the things we really started to focus on was talking about the coffee journey with our partners and saying, this is why our coffee offering is so good. We source responsibly, we roast our beans for a certain amount of time that's proprietary, we have the right mix of beans. So really trying to engage our partners that this isn't just another bit of your another part of your store. Per square meter, our machine can be the most profitable part of a forecourt. So what we try and engage our partners with is this is a real part of your business that can drive real profit and revenue for you.
How important are the sustainable arguments getting, and how the coffee is prepared, and as you mentioned, the CO2 and all?
I think being here in Sweden, I think it's fair to say that the UK is probably behind certain parts of Europe in terms of the whole sustainability. It's becoming more and more prevalent, so all of our coffee is Rainforest Alliance certified. We're just moving all of our chocolate to be RFA certified. And I spoke about right at the start what we do for our coffee growing communities is we raise through our stores between £1 and £2 million a year to go and build schools in our coffee growing communities. So I think it's really important that we put something back into what are quite poor regions of the world where we grow coffee. Typically, they're quite poor areas.
What are the major risks then if you grow too quickly? If you become more blind to what you're risking?
So one of the things we would say is 1% of the world's coffee is good enough for Costa. Now, if you flip that on its head, it means that we only buy 1% of the world's coffee. So even if we double in size, then actually the coffee growing business or coffee growing plantations are massive. Our growth, frankly, doesn't even appear on their radar. So
you have altered the taste in Britain, though, from tea to coffee.
We have. Well, I don't think we've quite altered it. We've brought coffee up there a little bit. and we have changed.
You didn't drink coffee when you started, you said.
No, I think I'd have got sacked if I stopped if I didn't start. So I think, yes, the high street in the UK has changed significantly. And the coffee industry and the coffee machines have been part of that, or the coffee shops have been part of that. And then what we're trying to do with Costa Express, and are doing successfully, is to say you can get great coffee on the high street. You can also do that in your life on the go as well.
And people expect barista quality.
Oh, that's a really good question. Do they expect it? I think if they're paying £2.10, they do, which is our typical selling price. I think one of our biggest challenges is that 50% of people, even in the UK, don't understand that it's fresh beans and fresh milk.
Oh, they think
So,
it's powder.
Yeah, they think it's powdered milk or it's filtered coffee. So what we need to do in the UK, certainly, and then any of our international markets, is to educate the consumer. And consumers are actually really difficult people to educate.
Oh, that's really...
Despite us putting across the bottom of
How
our machine
rude.
fresh milk and fresh beans, I'm
Yeah.
a consumer myself, I'm thick as well. It's really difficult to get that message across because there's such ingrained perceptions that you can't get a barista-style coffee from a machine, but you can.
You seem very confident in that. Questions from the audience? Yes, please. Our reliable questionnaire. Yeah, there's the microphone.
Thank you. Hi, Chris. I have a question related to you doing almost demand sensing, actually, real data. What in FMCG world is basically EPOS, and it's a dream for fast-moving consumer goods companies to have the visibility that you have. It's obvious that you're using this data in within the supply chain. Are you using also within business development or marketing functions?
The short answer will be no. We don't. What's really exciting about being part of Costa Express is that we're not a massive organisation. If you went and talked about S&OP within Costa Express, they would just go, shut up and let's move on to opening the next machine. But what we do is we leverage our software to allow us to focus on the stuff that's going to make us grow. So for example, our machines at the moment are trading at something like 10% like for likes, and a machine that only does 40 cups a day, it's an extra 3-4 cups, so it's not massive. But our entire supply chain has reacted without us having to do anything. Because SO99 can see that we're 10% up, so it just sends more stock to each site. So the first time we know that each machine is doing more is when I look at some of our daily reports and we're suddenly sending out 10% more coffee, and I'm like, what's going on? It's, our machines are selling more. So what we are able to do with SO99 is just let it run. We have very little interference with it. We have 1.5 people that look after, as I say, 4,500 machines. So we just let it run. And then if marketing team do promotions, because we have quite a lot of stock at site, SO99 has enough time to react to be able to just replenish the site again before we have to do anything. Because even if a site would go from 40 cups to 80 cups, because of the size of cases we have to send sites, there's enough stock at site to react to that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other question? So your personal dream then, apart from doubling the business again, is that people will really appreciate the quality and understand that they can choose that. They don't have to lower it, and to feel more tempted to hang on to the Costa machine and forget about Starbucks. Is that your goal? Yeah.
So there's nothing I love more than when I go into a petrol station or a forecourt or a motorway service area, and even if it's a Costa store actually, because we're different divisions, and someone takes a Costa Express instead of a Costa or a Starbucks. It's brilliant. And we love telling our retail colleagues that our net promoter score is better than theirs. Now they argue it's because our expectation is so low, so that's why it's better.
One serious question though, drinking too much caffeine, of course, will really not be harmful. I mean, it will be harmful to your system. You look excited when I ask that question. How come? You seem as if you have a good answer.
I just don't know where you're going.
That's exciting. Right. No, I mean, do you have any health concerns thinking that, wow, this will be so tempting, people will drink widely and go speeded and not be able to sleep?
So one of the... I'm conscious that we're in one of the highest coffee drinking countries in the world.
This is a dark country.
I guess we don't promote responsible coffee drinking. What we do is we're conscious of the channels that we do go into.
Yeah.
So we recently were in danger of getting some bad press because some of our food service operators were looking to put Costa stores and machines into schools, high schools. So these were like people that they are drinking coffee with their parents, and this is 16 to 18-year-olds. We recognised that the press we were getting wasn't what we desired, favourable. So we pulled out. So I think whilst it's a bit of a maybe a funny question, there's a serious part to it actually, where we do recognise when we shouldn't be doing. Yes, there was enough pressure and press for us to say, look, you know what, that's not worth it. Let's not do that.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, then, appropriately enough, we do have a coffee break now with a miserable coffee. no, with a great coffee, and we're delighted to learn. Thank you, and congratulations to your success.